and welcome to the Nation ASEAN Plus. I'm PASHA RAHIM at Wisma Bernama in Kuala Lumpur, the home of Malaysia's national news agency. In this episode, we bring you stories that made the week and insightful perspectives across this dynamic and diverse region. We've seen some significant developments within the ASEAN bloc this week, but let's start right here with Malaysia. Malaysia has finally passed the Malaysian Media Council Bill, a long-awaited move toward media self-regulation. The bill, which has passed in the Dewan Rakyat on Wednesday, 26th February, aims, among other things, to safeguard media freedom and ensure the public receives accurate, credible and fair information. It also represents a monumental leap for Malaysia's media landscape, marking the culmination of more than 50 years of intense dialogue and negotiation to establish a dedicated council for media affairs. Simultaneously, concerns have been raised about proposed amendments to the Communications and Multimedia Act, which some view as potentially restrictive. Now, to delve deeper into these developments, we are joined by WATHSHLAH NAIDU, Executive Director of the Centre for Independent Journalism, or the CIJ, who has been at the forefront of advocating for media freedom and ethical journalism in Malaysia. Welcome to the show, WATHSHLAH. Thanks for joining us.
Hi.
All right. Hi.
Can you happy to be
okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
All right. So let's go straight into it. The Malaysian Media Council Bill has been a very long time coming. In your view, how will this impact media self-regulation and also press freedom in the country?
It's indeed been extremely long. I've been informed that we've been talking about this since 1973, and that's more than 52 years. And even if we look at this in the context of many other countries, including our neighbors, Indonesia, Timor-Leste, they've had a media council for quite a number of years. So for us, this is indeed a vital, critical milestone as we move forward in promoting media freedom through self-regulation. And this is critical because what we have now is the media regulating itself. So it would enable media professionals, industry players to come together and form this entity now, which will maintain which will enable media to maintain editorial independence, while at the same time also ensuring accountability. Moving away from just purely government imposed regulation. Yeah. This council is going to be playing a key role because it will bring together, I would say, harmonize all ethical reporting standards to make sure that it enforces the highest ethical, responsible reporting standards so that we have more balanced, fair, responsible reporting. Yeah, and another key role that this council will play is to create a much needed interface between the public and the media through a complaints and grievance mechanism. The council can then, or rather, the media professional now can rely on the council. The public can rely on the council to address complaints about reporting. And it also reduces all these very extremely high legal battles that we see now. And given the things that are happening to many journalists now due to economic reasons, job instability, many media houses downsizing, retrenching staff, we see the Media Council also advocating for better working conditions, fair wages, and safety of journalists too.
Okay, so while the Media Council aims to promote self-regulation, it's a very key part of this council, there are proposed amendments to the Communications and Multimedia Act that some consider repressive. How do you reconcile these two developments?
We are now locating this new bill within a larger legal environment that governs media, as well as freedom of expression generally here in Malaysia. So recently, just last year, the government passed extensive amendments to the Communications and Multimedia Act, Those amendments just came into force a couple of weeks ago. It has increased, I would say, the punitive measures to those who contravene some of the provisions within the Communications and Multimedia Act. A key focus I think we should do is look at Section 233 of the Communications and Multimedia Act. While attempts have been made to refine it, it still is very broad, very vague, I would say. It has
Yep.
also increased the punitive measures. No, from 50,000, it's now 500,000. So media could potentially still be charged under this act. And this act, again, it's not in isolation. We also need to look at the proposed amendments to the Printing Presses and Publications Act. Now, this has been a huge battle for decades. This act came into force. It was enacted in 1984. Many attempts to amend it. In fact, the last amendment was positive in
Right.
where our former Prime Minister Najib had removed the requirements for renewal of license. So with this proposed amendments, what we are hearing is there could be a possibility of bringing back the requirements for license renewal, including annual renewal, and also to expand the scope to digital media. So I think working within these environment could pose a challenge to the Media Council, but bearing in mind that one of the powers of the Media Council is also to propose legislative reforms that would enable the improvement of media freedom in Malaysia. So I think we need to look at it hand in hand now.
All right. One last question for you, WATHSHLAH. Reflecting on the current state of freedom of expression in Malaysia, what are the immediate priorities for the Media Council to foster a more open and also democratic media environment? Very quickly, in about 1 minute.
I think the challenge we have now is a trust deficit when it comes to media, because of not just the laws, because the censorship, including self-censorship, is extremely high. At the same time, there is a lot of disruption to the information ecosystem. Disinformation is proliferating, hate speech is proliferating, reporting is increasing. So within this context, I think the Media Council will just have to start running as soon as it's fully established and operational, because law reform will have to happen in parallel, simultaneously, with no delay. It also would have to work towards setting up the code of conduct, the ethical reporting standards, while operationalizing the Media Council, setting up the board, having the annual general meeting, and get it running, basically to catch up over the fact that it's 52 years late.
Right. Thank you so much, WATHSHLAH. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have with you today. Hopefully, we'll have you another time. Moving forward, we do hope that the Media Council will continue to safeguard media freedom, uphold journalistic integrity, and also gain public trust in Malaysia's media landscape. Thank you once again, WATHSHLAH.
Thank you.
All right, I'm off to a very short break. When we come back, we'll take a look at developments in other ASEAN countries. Don't wander off. I'll be right back. This is The Nation ASEAN Plus. Welcome back. We continue The Nation ASEAN Plus with Indonesia. Indonesians in the capital Jakarta on Tuesday expressed caution and concern following the launch of a new sovereign wealth fund on Monday. Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto formally launched Daya Anagata Nusantara Indonesia, or Danantara Indonesia, which is expected to manage more than $900 billion worth of assets to help drive development in Southeast Asia's largest economy and fulfill his promise of boosting growth to 8% from about 5% now. Danantara will hold government stakes in state firms and is intended to operate like Singapore's investment arm Temasek, but it faced criticism from thousands of student protesters last week who raised concerns over potential mismanagement as it took its initial investments from mass budget cuts across the government. Russia and Indonesia took steps on Tuesday to strengthen their defense ties with a meeting between a top Russian security official and Indonesia's defense minister in the capital of Jakarta as Moscow's war on Ukraine entered its fourth year. Indonesia's President Prabowo Subianto welcomed Secretary of the Russian Federation Security Council Sergei Shoigu at the Presidential Palace in Jakarta. They exchanged views on global strategic issues and the potential for improving ties between Indonesia and Russia. Shoigu's visit to Jakarta is the first stop in a 5-day Asia tour that also includes Malaysia. His visit comes after Indonesia was admitted as a full member to the BRICS bloc of developing economies. Despite the lowest annual inflation rate in 24 years, consumers in local markets in Indonesia still complain about food prices rising ahead of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Based on official data released on February 3rd, Indonesia's annual inflation rate slowed to 0.76% in January, down sharply from 1.57% in December and below the lower bound of the central bank's target range for the year. That said, food prices typically rise ahead of Ramadan in Indonesia due to surging demand. From Indonesia to Thailand, one of Southeast Asia's biggest and longest-running military exercises began on Tuesday in northeastern Thailand. More than 8,000 troops from 30 countries are taking part in the Cobra Gold exercise. According to military officials, this year's training includes command and control exercises, humanitarian assistance, field drills, cyber defense, space operations, and counter-drone strategies, reflecting the evolving nature of modern warfare. The 44th Cobra Gold exercise runs until March 7th. Moving on Wednesday, police said 18 people were killed after a tour bus lost control and fell into a ditch in Thailand's Prachinburi province. Social media posts showed rescue and medical workers at the scene helping victims near the overturned bus with its undercarriage exposed. Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra said an investigation was taking place, particularly into vehicle safety. Road accidents and fatalities are common in Thailand due to weak enforcement of vehicle safety standards and poorly maintained roads. In other news, Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra pledged to strengthen international cooperation and effectively resolve the problem of telecom fraud crimes. The Thai government held a cabinet meeting on Tuesday to further discuss measures to combat telecom fraud crimes. She said the Thai government takes telecommunications fraud crimes very seriously and that the Thai government had made progress in combating such crimes and repatriating suspects. Thailand will continue to strengthen cooperation and dialogue with China and Myanmar to eliminate telecom fraud crimes. Still with Thailand, several dozens of Indonesian nationals who were extracted from the scam centers in Myanmar's town of Mayawadi were repatriated via Thailand on Thursday. At the Thai side of the second Thai-Myanmar Friendship Bridge at the 84 Indonesian nationals taken into Thailand from Myanmar on buses were seen escorted by Thai soldiers for an identification procedure before being driven to Don Mueang Airport in Bangkok on the same day. A top Thai opposition lawmaker said the ongoing effort targeting scam compounds along Thailand's border with Myanmar has led to only a small proportion of workers there being pulled out, calling for more comprehensive measures to stomp out a booming illegal industry. Next, the UN Human Rights Office warned on Thursday that Thailand's move to deport 40 Chinese Uyghurs to China is a clear violation of international human rights laws. The move came despite urging by United Nations human rights experts not to send back the Uyghurs Thailand has held in detention for a decade, warning they were at risk of torture, ill treatment, and irreparable harm if returned.
The UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk says the deportation of 40 ethnic Uyghurs to China is a clear violation of international human rights laws and standards. The men, who were part of a larger group, have been held in poor conditions at a number of immigration detention facilities in Thailand since March 2014. 5 have died in custody, 8 are believed to remain in detention. Our office has repeatedly urged the Thai authorities to respect their obligations under international law in relation to these individuals in need of international protection. It's deeply regrettable that they have been forcibly deported.
Meanwhile, Thailand's defense minister said the Uyghurs were sent back in accordance with international standards. The 48 Uyghurs held in Thailand were part of a group of 300 who fled China and were arrested in 2014. Some were sent back to China and others to Turkey, with the rest kept in Thai custody. Stay with us as we take a short break. I will return with updates from more ASEAN countries. This is The Nation ASEAN Plus on Bernama TV. Welcome back. You are watching The Nation ASEAN Plus. On Monday this week, Japanese Defense Minister Gen Nakatani said Japan and the Philippines agreed to further deepen defense ties in the face of an increasingly severe security environment in the Indo-Pacific region. Nakatani met his Philippine counterpart Gilberto Teodoro in Manila for a meeting in which the two ministers tackled regional security issues, including the maritime situation in the East and South China Seas. Nakatani said the Philippines and Japan have agreed to deepen cooperation on military exchanges, establish a high-level strategic dialogue among its military, and deepen information sharing. Security ties between the two U.S. allies have strengthened over the past 2 years as Japan and the Philippines share common concerns over China's increasingly assertive actions in the region.
President Marcos.
Still with the Philippines, communities in the Philippines are turning to creative solutions to combat the dengue outbreak as cases of the mosquito-borne illness are skyrocketing across the country. According to Philippine Health Department data, more than 43,000 dengue cases have been reported from January to mid-February nationwide, compared with almost 28,000 in the same period last year. Health officials warn rising temperatures and unpredictable weather patterns have created ideal breeding conditions for mosquitoes, exacerbating the crisis. In Vietnam, Thai Foreign Minister Maris Sangiampong met with Vietnamese Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh in Hanoi on Monday to discuss closer cooperation in trade, investment, tourism, as well as Thailand's current crackdown on trans-border crimes with Myanmar and Cambodia. Within ASEAN, Thailand is Vietnam's largest trading partner with more than $20.2 billion in two-way trade. Thai investors ranked 9th in Vietnam's FDI with $14.1 billion in 738 running projects. In other news, during a visit to Hanoi on Wednesday, New Zealand's Prime Minister Christopher Luxon said both countries are moving closer together. After a welcome ceremony and a meeting with Vietnam's Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh, Luxon said both countries share similar goals, such as a stable, secure, and peaceful Indo-Pacific. Luxon also highlighted the announcement of Vietnamese airline Vietjet Air to develop a new route to New Zealand, connecting both countries and people-to-people links. Still with Vietnam and New Zealand, both countries announced that they have upgraded their bilateral ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership, the highest level in diplomatic relations. The announcement came after a meeting between their prime ministers. Vietnam and New Zealand also signed several documents of cooperation in the fields of education, agriculture, and air travel as they marked the occasion. In the past 5 years, New Zealand's trade with Vietnam has grown by 40%. We now look at the developments between Laos and China. Mohan, a remote town located on the China-Laos border in southwest China's Yunnan province, is undergoing rapid transformation into an international port city, driven by the fast development brought about by the China-Laos Railway, which began operation over 3 years ago. Mohan serves as a key hub on the China-Laos Railway, a landmark project of high-quality Belt and Road cooperation. Connecting Kunming in China with Vientiane in Laos, the 1,035-kilometer railway has experienced a significant growth in both cross-border passengers and goods. To further facilitate the growing bilateral trade between China and Laos, the land port at Mohan is being expanded from 2 lanes to 12 lanes. And that's all the time that we have. This has been your weekend insight into ASEAN. Stay informed with the Nation ASEAN Plus only on Bernama TV, and keep yourselves updated. Log on to bernama.com. This will also link you to all our social media platforms. I'm PASHA Rahim. Thanks for watching.